Well, happy summer to you all. Happy June. It's a beautiful time here in Payne County, America. For you all who don't live here in America and you're listening to this, maybe
overseas.
Yeah, you know, we when Father O'Brien here, he loves stats where people were listening from.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't pulled that up recently. Rob, maybe if you could log into that and check those stats, because people were listening from the 5 stands. You know what the 5 stands are?
Kyrgyzstan.
Boom. Afghanistan is not one of them.
Not one of the stands.
For you all out there in the listening world, look up the 5 stands. My brother and my brother-in-law and my sister met in Bishkek.
Bishkekistan?
No, in Kyrgyzstan.
Oh, okay.
Not to be confused with Kazakhstan or Turkmenistan.
Yeah. For reasons, someone might be listening to this and wonder why I knew Kyrgyzstan and not the other ones, because it's pretty obscure. My dad was deployed there.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah. There's a base in Bishkek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there's I don't think anybody was asking why you didn't know the others.
Because there's more well-known stands out there. I don't know.
Stanislav Koska, Stanley Rother, also commonly known Stan.
Stan Rother, Father Stan.
Father Stan.
You think they called him that? No, probably not.
Stanley. I don't know. Yes. Well, Okarchi's getting a new priest, Father Stanley, who is no longer the pastor there. He's getting moved.
Yeah, Father Zach Bozeman moving in.
Father Zach, formerly known as Fake Father Zach. For you all in the listening audience of the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City, I'm still slightly perturbed with him. But it's not his fault. Again, like what the sacraments do. Like, you know, he was from the DFW Metroplex,
mm-hmm.
and why he was home. I mean, people can ask him the story, especially those people in Okarchi, and it's like his baptism was invalid at a Catholic church by a Catholic deacon.
Yeah, they saw the video. Used the wrong words.
They used the wrong words of baptism, and because of that, they had to do all the weddings he had done again. Not like they had to ordain him, but baptize him. First communion,
all the confirmations.
He had to be ordained a deacon because he wasn't validly baptized. Yeah. And it all fell apart.
I think the bishop, I could be wrong about this, I haven't asked him. We're buds, me and Father Zach. But
were you really?
Because he used to be the chaplain at Cristo Rey when I worked there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we were friends.
Mr. Furleigh. I was like, who? Who's Mr. Furleigh?
Yeah, that's so funny. One of the Cristo Rey kids was here at St. John, and Sam Alback was talking to her, one of our students here at St. John, and he's very talkative, and he was just being friendly, and he asked if she knew anyone here, and she's like, "Yeah, I know Mr. Furleigh," and he was like, "Mr. Furleigh, you mean Clay?" Yeah, it's just 2 worlds coming together.
Coming together. Anyway, so Stanley, Father Stan.
Father Zach. Yeah.
So Father Zach got a new job out there in the hinterlands, the beautiful part of the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Beautiful church too in Okarchi.
Great people.
Yeah.
I'm doing Ali Huffnagel's wedding this summer.
Oh yes.
Oh no, in like August. I don't know. But anyway, I was out there at her dad's funeral in Okarchi. So there's a lot of beautiful history of the great holy people of Okarchi, Oklahoma. Not those Kingfisher people. Boo. I don't know anybody. Well, I guess I do know people in Kingfisher. When O'Brien quizzed me on towns in the diocese of Tulsa.
That's not nice. He Wikipedia's every town he drives through.
I know. He was like, a town with a Catholic church that begins with O. And I was like, Okarchi? He's like, Archdiocese. And I sat there and stared at him. It was one of our shows one time. No, it was like Stephen Colbert back in the old days where he was like, know your
Colbert
district.
Report.
Yeah, when he was like, know your district.
When he was funny.
Oh boy, yeah, when he was funny. And who knew he was secretly a liberal doing a TV show about conservatism. We need to do something about that.
The satire was funny.
The satire was great.
But the character he played so well. But it turns out him as himself isn't that funny.
Yeah, that's right. And he's not that good of a Catholic either.
Yeah.
He made himself out to be one.
I mean,
we should do a show on that.
Maybe he used to be. I don't know his heart. So
yeah. Well, I just look at. I don't judge. I just look and see, and I come to conclusions.
I think you've said that in every episode the last 3 weeks.
And I wave my finger in the air in a Z-snap formation, like I learned. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's a beautiful summer here and it's hot and it is Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Welcome to it. Everybody get near the water and jump in. So we, you know what? I almost called you Father Clay.
Oof. Well, yeah. I am a dad.
You're a dad of 2 kids.
Yes. I am a priest too. Kingdom priest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. A fatherly priest. What's the middle name of this kid, Lucas?
Undecided. That's not his name, but me and my wife haven't decided. Father Healy made that joke. He was like, Lucas unsure. That sounds interesting. Lucas unsure Furleigh has an interesting ring to it.
It's his baptismal name. How can you not like? Can I give you some options?
Sure.
John, after St. John, the church.
It's a good option.
Francis, after both the Francis, the church. Xavier, Francis of Assisi, Francis, our Pope.
I think we're settling on. I'll tell you some of the Hippolytus. Kayla really likes James, which is my grandfather's name, and so I'm hesitant because I don't want to make my grandfather's head bigger. But
then don't tell him the name.
But I think that's eventually what we will settle on is James. So Lucas James.
You heard it first here, people.
Yeah.
The bets are in.
When's this podcast coming out? 16th. Well, he might be born by the time.
He'll be out of the womb by then.
He might be. Probably not, but he might be.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Hey, so we last week we talked about how you know the voice of God and listening to the voice of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I asked some questions because I'm a confused man.
I heard you're a skeptic. You're a hater on people who listen to the voice of God.
That's not. No, I take people for what they say.
Yes, yeah, I do too. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes there's people that when they say the Holy Spirit brought me here,
and they're living with their girlfriend, and
their pupils are as big as my thumbnails.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who are like, Father, I was in prayer, and I heard the voice of the Lord say, or I heard this Holy Spirit make this known to me. And so there's those people. Now, we left off with we should keep this going because I went and found the book. It's Abandonment to Divine Providence. So it's
by who?
By Jean-Philippe de Caussade, Caussade, also known as Caussade. Jean-Pierre de Caussade.
He's really spelling it out.
The National Shrine of the Infant of Prague in Prague, Oklahoma. And I love that. Oh my gosh.
It's funny with those little infant Jesuses. They really dress them up.
I like him.
Yeah.
I went there and asked baby Jesus for money one time to help build this church. And I said, I see you got all those fancy clothes. That means you got money. So you know what? Hand it over. And I went like, show me the money, baby Jesus. And then it was like, this is Talladega Nights. I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah, wise decision.
Where's O'Brien these days to shut this down? This is where he'd normally stop me.
It's like, okay,
let's move on. Anyway, so we talked about it, and I wanted to give you the reference. He's got this line on page 83. And this is the I forget who published this one. It just Bevers, Jean Bevers is translated by him. And it says on page 83, Abandonment, Divine Prophecy, he says, keep going and you will attain all you desire. Everything will be given to you if, and this is how he says, with love and obedience. So the starting point is love and obedience. You're loving God with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. And then obedire, it means to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So God is speaking to the person with obedience means to listen. So with love and listening, you seek God's kingdom and his righteousness. So you're just going to be moved along and seeking God's kingdom and his righteousness. You're just going to be pushed on to that. And then this is right after it says, let us stay united with God by love.
Yeah.
And let us walk blindly along the clear, straight path of duty. So living this out, again, love and obedience of, like you said, it's like, I go to the liturgy. I follow the commandments.
Right.
I'm always open to responding in grace. His angels will protect you, he says. And then if he wants more from you, he will let you know.
Wow.
I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not one thing or another. I wanted to bring this to, it's not just one thing or another. It's all of it. It's the unifying principles of life of our faith.
Right. I think this is one reason why I really love Catholicism and being Catholic is like, yes, there seems to be more of a variety in the spiritual life.
Yeah.
And I think like, at least like here in Stillwater, what I see in Protestant land is evangelicalism, and it's like if you don't like love the like Christian pop songs, you're just kind of on the outside, and you just don't really know what to do. You're just kind of there, and it's like this isn't really me, but it's like this is just what we do, right? And then like, but in Catholicism, it's like, it's okay. Like with me, it's like, I don't hear manifested God's voice, but I encounter him every time in the Eucharist, in the sacraments. And yeah, with that, it's like, so I know what I need to do, and I do it confidently and boldly and well. And with that, I have hope and assurance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you don't always see the changes in the moment or see the effects of grace on your life until, you look back on the last day, I think. But it's happening. And I think when in a moment, the farther away you get from a moment, the more you realize God's providence. So. I have a question now. I have a follow-up question.
Mic drop Furleigh.
Yeah. So you talk about, can you read that quote again? Sorry. You lost
it.
Let
me see if I can use my divine memory and come back up to the page. Oh, there it is, page 83. Which quote? All of it?
Yeah, just can you read all of it?
Keep going.
I had a question.
Keep going, and you will attain all you desire. Everything will be given to you if, with love and obedience, you seek God's kingdom and his righteousness. Mm-hmm. Let us stay united with God by love, and let us walk blindly along the clear, straight path of duty. His angels protect you, and if he wants more from you, he will let you know. Okay. Triple exclamation points.
So emphasis added. Something you added in there when talking about being obedient and seeking the kingdom was the greatest commandment, which is love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength. I've always wondered this. Maybe you can talk about this. So I understand what it means to love God with all your mind, right? Because like you think about things, you make decisions, you have attitudes and thoughts in your head, right? I think about like what we say in Mass about confessing like what we've done and what we haven't done, right? That those things that like we've encountered decisions in our brain, and like we can choose to love God or not. Like, so like I understand that, and knowing God into like knowing him with our mind, right? And striving after him. But I've always wondered, like, what's the heart? What is the heart? Like what does it mean like to love God with my heart? Because I understand intellect and will, right?
Yes.
Like my mind and my free will, my ability to choose.
The powers of the soul.
The powers of the soul. So like I understand the soul and my spiritual soul, which is made in the image and likeness of God. So I understand the mind, I understand the soul. At least I think
You're
I
like
do.
Ellie Franks. just like catches me at a moment's notice. I call her Tick because it's just like I find her like, and she's like siphoning life out of me.
Thanks.
Proud McGinnis grad and holy saintly young woman, Ellie Franks. Now a townie after she graduated.
Oh, that's good to know. Invite her into the St. Francis fold.
Oh yeah, she is.
That's great. So mind, soul, / spirit. But where does the heart fit in? And what's the heart?
What is the heart?
Yeah.
Now, that beginning line is Shema Israel Adonai, listen Israel. So there's and I don't understand the complexities of the heart in the Jewish world, but there is this background to what Jesus is saying of when he says, what is the greatest commandment? And he says, love the Lord your God, Shema Israel Adonai, love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And so there is this background because St. Paul will even use it when speaking to the Jews about the heart of man.
Yeah.
Now, what Clay caught me off guard with this one. This is like stump the priest.
You don't have to know the answer. I just want to know when you hear that, what do you think of? Like what comes to mind? Because for me, it's a number of things. Well, it's two things. Off the top of my head, I think people use heart in like the romantic way as like the passions. People
pitter patter.
Yeah, the emotions, the desire, and it's like romantically, just like longing for like just like these appetites for things as well. But also like it feels to me there's another connotation with the use of the word heart, and it's like it's the center, right? It's the center of things. It's like the loving God in your heart. It's like the deepest part of who you are. It's the center of who you are, of which everything else springs out of. So it's not just the passions. It's part of that, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's like
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a Jewish understanding of that, of loving God with all your heart, and we're going to bypass that answer because I don't know the details of that.
Yeah, I don't know Hebrew.
What I think is like one area we could just like zero in on is the tradition in the Catholic Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Because the Sacred Heart of Jesus is really interesting. When you look at it, it is a heart, it is pierced, it is wrapped with thorns, and it is on fire, and it is glowing.
There's a lot of symbolism in that.
Yeah, so it's pierced, it's wrapped in thorns, it's on fire, it's glowing, and it seems to be growing. So love the Lord with all your heart. I would say, can we love the Lord in the moments of passion? Like when our hearts are, like pierced with other people's sins or the pains and sorrows of the world.
Suffering.
Yeah, exactly. When we're being humiliated, wrapped in thorns, all those things that deal with, with the similitude of our heart with the heart of Jesus Christ. So is my heart also giving off light?
Mm.
Is it becoming a light source for other people, drawing people in as a beacon of hope? Is it on fire? They on the road to Emmaus, they say, weren't our hearts on fire as he broke open the scriptures for us?
Yeah.
And then in the midst of all of this, in the midst of the suffering, and having our heart pierced, and then like growing in love, loving our neighbor as ourselves, loving God with all our mind, heart, and soul, is our heart really expanding?
Yeah.
Even Mother Teresa will say, like, and my spiritual director, Father Chris, said this one time. He said, your heart has to expand to allow the whole world in.
Mm.
And I was like, that's big. And he's like, that's why it hurts.
Yeah.
I always like the end of school year, I go into mourning for like a couple of weeks because all these people I've spent a lot of time with, and I've let them into my life, and then they all just like, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yodelay hee hoo.
Yeah.
Vanished.
I experienced that in growing up. I moved so many times. Definitely got harder when I got older. Was able to really learn like what friendship is, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And so, I've experienced that, and obviously in the college sphere, I work in campus ministry. So, it's like every year, well, a whole group of people that I've grown to love for the last 4 years are gone. I think I've there's this tendency to, I don't know, it might be like a male tendency to like correlate like stoicism with like Christian manliness, right? But it's like stoicism is like doing the good. It's like, it doesn't matter what you feel, but it's like, I think it does matter how we feel. And I think like our heart, in the sense of our emotions and our passions, are wily. They're like untamed horses running in whatever direction, and you should do the good in spite of that, right? Yeah. But those horses should be tamed, and like you should have a chariot moving in one direction towards heaven, and like those, our passions and our hearts, like, should be like baptized in the sense, right? They shouldn't just be like become like not part of us, like totally detached and like emotionless. It's like that's not the conducive for human flourishing, I think. So,
what is it? So it's pointing yourself towards the kingdom. It's with love and obedience, you seek God's kingdom and His righteousness.
Yeah, I think ideally, in love, you do the good, like you will the good of the other, but you also feel it. I think it's like, yes, there's more to marriage, and I'm thinking this. It's like there's more to marriage than just romantic love, but romantic love, like it's great and it's powerful and it's conducive when it's ordered sacramentally towards your wife, and it becomes that ideal. And I can see that correlation to God in all of our relationships with each other. Yeah.
Okay. This is another follow-up on your line of like, what if you do these things? Here, I'm going to give you this. This is another line from Caussade. Okay. And it goes like this. But let us look at the Christian who is satisfied by obeying the commandments of God in the church. He neither meditates nor contemplates, reads no spiritual books, has no interest in any spiritual devotion, and is concerned with business and the other affairs of life in the world. Can he be condemned? ? Can we even suspect him of being wrong? Of course not, he says. We must admit this. So if we leave in peace the Christian of whom I have just spoken, it is only fair not to trouble a soul who not only fulfills the precepts at least as well as the average Christian, but also performs both outward and inner acts of piety, which the ordinary Christian hardly knows exists. If he does, is quite indifferent to them. just like living, just like doing the things that we're called to do, that the Lord is asking us to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. It's like I think we see, especially with our friends, like we want to share the things that we have found good, but I think like particularly with like devotions and stuff, it's like you have to do this. It's like like you're not really Catholic unless you do this. It's like
I fight with the green, red, and brown scapulars on at the
like
same
the
time.
Power Rangers. It's like, it's like all the ones,
the 19 mini saints on my keychain of Pokemon Go Catholicism.
But
gotta catch them all.
It's like I think the church teaches us what's necessary, right? And then I think there's a lot of freedom in choosing goods outside of that.
Yeah, there was a devotion that was coming up. I don't know, it was 3 or 4 years ago, and it was people. It was like these 7 days of darkness or 3 days of darkness.
Yeah,
and they were like, we bless these candles, and they got to be this percentage of beeswax. And I was like, wait a second, like what kind of revelation is this? Where are you getting this from? And then they gave me the book. And I just went in and just like slowly read it. And I was like, wait a second. You all have been hoodwinked. Because the quotes they made about divine mercy were actually were terrible quotes.
Whoa.
They were misquoting St. Faustina. They would literally quote her and then make it about something else. When you went to the text and you went to the actual diary, it's like, these don't mess up. They don't match up. They're totally messed up. But I wanted to give you one other thing about listening to the voice of God.
Okay, please do.
I know. You're like, please. But we only have a couple minutes. One of the things about, we talked about like, what's the difference between the voice of God and the voice of not God? And
myself or the devil.
Potentially. And we can't rule out the enemy. So in St. Ignatius's spiritual discernment, there's the rules. And I was going through the rules of discernment of spirits, rules 13, 14, and 15, which people should know because like one of the rules is like the enemy is like a good general who goes around and looks at the landscape of the battlefield of the fortress and then finds the weakness and blows the gate up right there, blows the wall of the palace up right there. Yeah. Then they said that the enemy is like a yapping little dog. That when this little dog is just like terrorized, like that little bitty dog is like, you are not a Russian wolfhound, okay? You are not a Great Pyrenees. You're a Chihuahua, okay? Stop. And so when the enemy starts pestering you with something, just like attack, like saying something, he says it's best to turn around and force and yell at that little dog. Just like the enemy, just turn around and say, in the name of Jesus, get out of there.
Yeah.
So that. And then St. Ignatius says, and the enemy is like a false lover who whispers in your ear these things and says, don't tell anybody about this. Don't say anything to anybody. This is between you and me. And Ignatius says, and the false lover, what do? You tell your spouse or your spiritual director or your confessor that this, and then when the false lover is then shows himself, then everybody's like, yeah, we know who you are.
Yeah. I think like something about like learning yourself is really important. I think of like, I'd recommend anyone who hasn't read it, like Screw Tape Letters.
Oh yeah.
It's like what you said really reminded me of like the devil being like a field general. Like he knows us better than we know ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And like he knows our minds and our desires and our hearts and can pick at those weaknesses.
Yeah.
I recommend that book.
Yeah. So even following the fruits of the Holy Spirit and noticing the difference between the fruits and the enemy. What's your favorite one about Screw Tape Letters? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, chapter 8.
Oh,
the law of undulation. It's super good.
Oh, you should read that this summer. If you got nothing to read, Screw Tape Letters, right, Furleigh?
Yep, that's right.
Oh my gosh, what a goodie. Okay, we're out of time.
Buzzword, undulation.
Undulation. Y'all have a beautiful summer. Peace.
We got fans out
The
there.
whole fan club.